Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. So today we are going to be continuing our Deconstructing YouTube series, and we're talking about user experience and user interfaces. And today we're with an expert in that area, Patricia Baswell. Patricia, you want to say hi to everybody and tell them a bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Patricia Baswell, and I'm a user experience manager at Ytronics. It's an IoT company that serves the railroad industry. For those who don't know, IoT means Internet of Things, which are computing devices that talk to each other and send and receive data through the cloud. So as a UX manager, I make sure that our app has the features that our customers want, is user-friendly, and also looks great. This app is where all sorts of railroaders, from those who fix the locomotives, build the trains, coordinate from the control center, and manage operations, can go online and see where their trains are in real time.
Very nice. So that's a really cool application of UI UX. I can see why, it's something really complicated like managing, trains and all those things, why you would really need to have good user experiences and an easy way to interact with the software. But today we're talking about YouTube. And I mean, isn't YouTube a simple piece of software? I mean, you log on there and, there's just, things pop up, there's videos, you could post your videos. Like, it's so easy. Why do we need to have a UI UX expert?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into UX. UX actually stands for user experience, and that is the perception or how users think about, or customers, how they think about how they're interacting with a product or service. For example, a good user experience is when an app has the features or functionality that you need, it's easy to use, and also responds and loads quickly. So you mentioned UI as well, and UI means user interface. Those are different concepts, but related. UI is the layout and the design of the application that you interact with, like a web form or a video screen with playback controls.
But so you say that there are two different concepts, but isn't, if I'm interacting with a piece of software, if I'm interacting with a web page like YouTube, like, isn't my experience just kind of the sum of interacting with just what's in front of me?
Yeah, and that is the whole umbrella of user experience, but user interface is the actual thing that you're manipulating or
Is there anything
modifying.
else that factors into user experience beyond the interface?
Definitely. So when you're creating an app, it's very likely that you're making it for others to use and enjoy. And what they think about your product really matters because one, they make the decision to download it and then use it, or even pay for it if you're selling it. So having this good user experience overall is very important. So when you're building a site like YouTube, you first want to think about the problem you're trying to solve, who your audience is, or your users, and what features that they want or what they'd like to have. So UX, or user experience, has a discipline called user research that focuses on finding out what your users need and want. They do this in many ways, like interviewing people and conducting surveys to better understand their pain points and their motivations.
What's a pain point?
So a pain point is when there's something that you don't like about something.
So, like, if I think that um, or can you give an example of a pain point? Sorry, I think I need to drink more coffee in order. My pain point this morning is that I'm not caffeinated enough. Can
That's
you give
exactly.
examples of
Yeah.
pain points?
Yeah. So for example, if you're using YouTube and you want to play a video and you keep pressing the play button and it's not playing, that is a user pain point of the user interface. There's also pain points that are not quite directly related to an app yet because it's a problem that people have that you do want to solve. For example, let's see, I wanted to send money to my grandparents in the Philippines, and I don't have a way to do that. That's a pain point that I have that maybe I'm sure services exist like that already, but that's a pain point that people have that you can solve by creating an app.
So that's pretty interesting. So you're saying that this whole design and study of these different pain points, it's not like a one and done sort of thing. You're not like, I have this great idea, I'm going to build the software. You're saying that, I mean, it kind of sounds like you're saying that not only is it rolling out new features and identifying new pain points, but also looking at how people are currently interacting with the software like a YouTube and saying, okay, this is something that people seem to be struggling with. These are areas where we can improve.
Exactly.
Also fair to say that different groups of people may have different pain points or needs.
Definitely. There are many, many different people with different backgrounds. And as a user researcher, you would need to consider those and their experiences to basically focus the designs that you have in your product. So with my next point, actually, there's another UX discipline that's called interaction design, where you take those pain points and what you learn from that and explore different designs to come up with the best solutions. So
Mm.
as you may have noticed, if you've been using YouTube for a long time, it has evolved. It's not the same as it was like 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, right? So like for example, YouTube and video as well, or sorry, YouTube and Vimeo, they're both video sharing apps, but they have different feature sets and functionality, and they've evolved differently over time as well because of one understanding how their users have been changing over time and creating those solutions. And for example, again, YouTube has like a broader audience that they would cater to, but Vimeo is more for professionals. So when you look at the YouTube's UI or their user interface, you see a bunch of tiles where you can preview videos. But if you go to Vimeo, it has a much cleaner UI and it highlights the benefits of their services. So those are two different experiences that is explored through interaction design.
Nice. So let's say we have someone watching the video and they're like future tech titan, they have this great idea, it's not for something that's, it's not Vimeo, it's not YouTube, it's not TikTok, it's some other video based streaming platform. Um, if somebody wanted to get started working on that, like what are the steps to basically first of all, maybe touch briefly on like how do you figure out whether or not it's a product somebody other than yourself is actually interested in using? And then how does that turn into, okay, I'm going to do this, customer discovery thing where I'm going to figure out what people actually would want me to build.
Yeah, so like I said, for user research, you would determine, okay, so I have this idea and I want to bounce it off of different people, not just yourself. Maybe it could be the same age as you, but they're people who are different ages that come from different backgrounds. So you would then look for people maybe at your school or something like that and interview them and say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? Um, Tell me what it is that how do you feel about this? Is this something that's interesting to you? Um, what are the other ideas that you might have? And you take all of those ideas, look for common patterns, and say, wow, okay, I have this new idea, and I didn't even think about it before. So that helps you brainstorm a lot of different ideas to put together.
All right, great. And, kind of thinking about, so as part of this series for the UW Whitewater, a virtual tech camp for 2020 COVID era, we're going to be talking to a few other professionals about different pieces that go together to make a site like YouTube. But I was curious, so, I'll be in different videos, I'll be talking a bit about programming, we'll talk about search, big data, project management. Obviously, programming is sort of like the underpinning of most of these things that actually make a site like YouTube go. But from your perspective as a UI UX, like how do you fit into that ecosystem? And how do you work as part of a team working on a large project like a YouTube?
Yeah, definitely. So we work with another group usually that's called product management, and they help assess from a business standpoint, can we make money out of something, right? And they come up with, okay, well, there's a market for this. Um, and then as designers for UX, then we validate their hypotheses and say, oh wow, there is really a market for this, and this is the exact problem you need to solve within that space. And as the project goes on, in the beginning, we would come up with how the design is going to look and feel, how it's going to be used by users, what are the features. We'll be refining those features with the product managers and their what's called product owners that would say, okay, we are going to focus on these features so we can do them in a timely fashion, and then work with the programmers to actually create the thing.
That sounds pretty cool. So let's say somebody would want to get into this area and say, I want to work on UI UX. What sorts of things should they be studying both in high school and then in college? Like, what sorts of classes and what sorts of majors should they be looking at if they'd like to work in this area?
Sure. Well, if you're interested in a career in UX, you first want to think about which UX discipline appeals to you the most. So, like I talked about earlier, is it user research where you would go talk to people, gather data, analyze it, and put together what you learned? Is it interaction design where you come up with solutions, work on concepts, and make prototypes to test your ideas? Is it information architecture where you organize the content of an application? Or is it visual design where you compose the UI or the user interface, the layouts, you can make icons and illustrations and even make engaging interfaces. So there's a huge breadth of things that you could do. If you're more on the artistic side, you could be a visual designer. If you want more analytical thinking, then you could get into user research. But in terms of becoming a UX professional, there isn't really a fixed path. For example, I started out with a degree in graphic design and visual communications myself, and I learned the other disciplines over time through my job experience. And I know folks who started out as developers, and usually they're front-end developers.
You mean by developer? Yeah.
Exactly, programmers. And even engineers, like mechanical engineers even, who later switched to the UX in their later career. So typically though, UX people also, they would get a degree in human-computer interaction, typically computer science. There's also human factors engineering and information architecture.
And information technology.
Yes. And some user researchers that I know have psychology degrees as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're trying to figure out like what makes people tick, what do they actually want to see there. So it's kind of interesting because since it's a multidisciplinary approach, so you're not saying, and kids, when you go to college, you'll figure this out. You have things that you're studying, but you can take different, kind of twist it and turn it and take different career paths, both as you're studying it and then also as you go out, because you don't like stop learning as soon as you leave college. The idea is that you're prepared to go out there and keep learning. So it's pretty cool that, you have all these different degrees, but basically it's something, computer graphics type things where you're thinking about how things look, engineering, computer science type things where you're thinking about how to build things, IT, psychology, where maybe you're thinking about how to build things, but also how do people actually interact with them. And it sounds like just an interest in building good tech, building tech that people, that delights them, that surprises them, that makes them want to interact and not like, oh God, what is this app? You don't want to throw it against the wall.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, at its core, user experience is all about understanding people and having empathy for them so that you can build the apps and any kind of product or even service that they actually want to use.
Well, that's great. I think that, it sounds like it's an incredibly rewarding career path. And I really want to thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. Really shared a lot of great information. For those of you who are tuning in, please make sure that if you, well, for those of you who came from the Whitewater homepage as part of this module, make sure you check back. There's other videos related to deconstructing YouTube. If you happen to stumble upon it just as you were browsing YouTube, if you check in the links below, there will be a link back there. You can check it out. It's free and open to anybody. And if you're just interested in having more videos like this, please like us, follow us below. Thanks. Bye, guys.